I'm Alvin Ailey, a creator of dance. My work is all about finding the core truths of our existence through motion. Consider this a reminder. When you're center stage, living authentically isn't always an option. Countless black icons felt forced to mask their orientation, locking away their true identities to safeguard their professional standing and loved ones. Many carried that secret to their graves. Today, we're uncovering the private realities of 27 black stars who lived behind a veil, while exploring the crushing weight that stardom and society forced them to carry. First up is James Cleveland, the gospel legend who guarded his private life until a $9 million legal battle exposed everything posthumously. As a powerhouse songwriter and pastor, Cleveland fundamentally reshaped the landscape of American spiritual music. He earned numerous accolades, and he mentored generations of vocalists as a true industry titan. Yet, beneath his strict, commanding persona, he spent decades looking over his shoulder. He carefully curated the persona of a flawless, traditional family man and an unshakable man of God. This facade served as a shield against the era's deeply conservative and unforgiving religious environment. Throughout the 1970s and 80s, he stood at the absolute pinnacle of his success. He traveled the globe leading massive ensembles and shared his gift with massive crowds, all while keeping his personal reality under total lock and key. Any whispers of his private romances were immediately silenced and scrubbed from public view. Every move was calculated to ensure his prestigious standing within the ministry remained untouched. As the HIV crisis gripped the nation in the late 80s, the virus unfortunately reached him as well. Meanwhile, the industry grapevine began buzzing with increasingly persistent speculation about his health. Still, his massive influence kept critics at bay until his eventual passing in 1991. At the time of his death, he was mourned simply as a peerless spiritual icon. A year later, the peace shattered when Christopher Harris, his adopted son, filed a $9 million suit, claiming a long-term secret affair led to his own infection. The legal filing sent shockwaves through the community, pulling the thread on a lifetime of buried truths. His carefully built legacy as a saintly figure dissolved almost overnight after he was gone. Insiders finally admitted what many had suspected: Cleveland had been leading a double life for years. The walls he built finally crumbled, revealing his true self at last. Number 26. Alvin Ailey, the genius of dance, who masked his identity until his tragic death from AIDS-related complications. He was a visionary in the world of dance, establishing his eponymous theater and introducing global audiences to the beauty of modern American movement. Today, he's remembered as a titan who fundamentally changed the artistic landscape. Despite the global acclaim and standing ovations, he kept his personal world incredibly guarded. To the world, he was simply a disciplined, brilliant maestro devoted to his craft, with his inner life remaining a mystery. As his star rose in the 60s, he was keenly aware of the narrow-mindedness prevalent in the artistic community. He knew a single slip-up could dismantle everything he had poured his soul into creating. Consequently, he opted for absolute discretion. He buried himself in a relentless creative schedule, using his work as a smokescreen for the parts of himself he couldn't share. When the AIDS epidemic hit in the 80s, Ailey was forced to confront the reality of his own diagnosis. In that climate of fear and judgment, he worried about more than just his own name. His primary concern was shielding his mother from the cruel whispers of the public. He was so protective that he even kept his declining health a total secret from her. Even as his strength faded, his professional drive never wavered, continuing to lead his company and Project Strength, while silently battling both the virus and the terror of being found out. By 1989, facing the inevitable, he took a step that would eventually stun his followers. He requested that AIDS not be named the official cause of his death. He framed his condition as a rare blood ailment, simply to dodge scrutiny and shield his kin. Only during the late 1990s, long after Alvin Ailey's passing, did hospital files finally expose the reality. 25. Barbara Jordan, the formidable trailblazer in D.C., kept her lifelong private partnership completely under wraps. Until her departure, this legendary American jurist and stateswoman remains a monumental figure in national history. She stood as the pioneer, being the first African-American woman to wield significant power within Congress. Renowned for her magnetic speeches and razor-sharp intellect, she served as a beacon of political progress. Behind her stoic exterior and commanding public voice, Jordan successfully guarded her intimate life for over 20 years, navigating an era where her identity made politics nearly impossible. She knew any perceived vulnerability required absolute secrecy. Starting in the 1970s, as her reputation soared, she realized a single whisper about her private affairs could wreck her hard-earned legacy. Consequently, she chose a quiet existence, dedicating every ounce of her spirit to her legislative duties. Between her rhetoric and policy battles, Nancy Earl remained her constant, visible anchor throughout those intense years. Their bond endured for over 20 years, yet their deep connection was never once acknowledged publicly. Earl worked from the shadows, providing the essential emotional support and care Jordan needed to lead. Though she was Jordan's rock, her name stayed out of the headlines while the world saw only a resilient icon. In 1996, following Jordan's death, various historical accounts began identifying Nancy Earl as her devoted, long-term companion. Only then did people realize she had masked her heart to survive a judgmental landscape and protect her career. 24. Gene Anthony Ray, the electric performer who hid his true identity and health struggles until the end. This celebrated actor and dancer gained global fame as the spirited Leroy in the cinematic masterpiece, Fame. His explosive energy on screen made him a household name and a symbol of raw artistic fire. As the franchise became a phenomenon in the 1980s, he transitioned into a mainstay of national television. Fans were captivated by his rebellious, untamed spirit that seemed to live purely for the beat. Yet, off-camera, his life was far from easy, as immense success brought heavy personal burdens. Rapid wealth and the party scene led to complex personal ties that eventually caused his world to spiral. Despite the inner chaos, he kept a strict veil over his private world. No one knew his heart's truth until the 1990s. When his professional opportunities began to dwindle, it was during this decline that he learned of his serious immune health diagnosis. The news was devastating, but silence was mandatory, given the intense social stigma surrounding such conditions back then. Fearing his brand would shatter, he retreated into a very low-key lifestyle during his final chapters. He effectively withdrew from the limelight and stopped making public appearances. Though his vitality faded fast, he continued to keep the details of his medical battle strictly confidential. Most assumed he was just retiring, until his sudden passing in 2003 due to vascular complications. When the report broke, his admirers initially viewed it as a tragic but straightforward departure. Later, the truth about his health and true romantic nature finally emerged, revealing the man behind the mask. 23. Sherman Hemsley, the legendary comedy king who kept his intimate self a secret for his entire life. Hemsley achieved stardom through his portrayal of the feisty George Jefferson on the hit series, The Jeffersons. He became a beloved television staple, cherished for his sharp wit and undeniable comedic timing. After the show exploded in the 1970s, he became one of the most recognizable faces in America. Viewers loved his depiction of a high-strung but magnetic patriarch who always held his own. In reality, Sherman was a total recluse who maintained a massive distance between himself and the public. He would depart immediately after filming, rarely participating in the Hollywood social scene or industry parties. Throughout his stardom, he remained incredibly guarded, avoiding interviews and keeping his personal history under lock and key, never marrying or acknowledging a partner. He navigated an industry that was still rife with deep-seated prejudice. Any personal revelation could have easily toppled the massive public image he had spent decades building. Sherman kept his private life under wraps until he left us in 2012. Fans everywhere grieved for the comedy icon who'd brightened countless lives. His secrets stayed hidden until co-star Damon Evans finally revealed the actor's true orientation. Evans admitted they frequently visited underground spots and clubs as a duo. The bombshell left the public speechless. Hemsley had effectively spent years leading a double life. Number 22. Max Robinson was a broadcast titan who masked his orientation and illness until his passing. As the nation's first black national news anchor, he was a trailblazer defined by his gravitas and booming voice. Since his groundbreaking rise in the 1970s, he lived under a constant microscope. More than a journalist, he was a beacon of excellence for an entire community. Such heavy expectations meant he couldn't afford a single slip-up in public. He kept his personal life buried and his feelings tightly controlled. Any mention of romance was erased to maintain his polished, professional reputation. While his fame soared in the 80s, his private world began to crumble. The burden of his hidden reality slowly started eating away at him. Then came a diagnosis that carried immense shame and terror back then: the virus. Now, Max carried an even heavier burden. He retreated into solitude before succumbing to the illness in 1988. His passing was tragic, but the subsequent revelations sparked a massive controversy. The family's choice to disclose the truth sent shockwaves through the community. His quiet struggles and long-held secrets were suddenly thrust into the spotlight. Number 21. Paul Winfield was an acclaimed star who kept a 3-decade romance hidden. This Academy Award nominee was a screen powerhouse, respected for his immense talent and longevity. Winfield valued his anonymity above all. Despite Tinseltown's gossip mill, he kept his private matters strictly off-limits. He avoided flashy relationships, focusing solely on his craft. Since his 70s breakout, Paul knew one wrong move could end everything. Back then, industry bias against black leading men remained incredibly harsh. Fearing his career might vanish, he committed to a lifetime of discretion. Hardly anyone suspected his true reality. He shared 30 years with architect Charles Gillen Jr. Completely away from cameras, while they built a home together, Charles remained a ghost publicly. Paul always flew solo at premieres and interviews. Maintaining his guard well into the 90s, he ignored the gossip columns and never addressed the speculation. Charles stayed loyal, never resenting the fact they were a secret. Their quiet bond was enough until Paul's heart failed in 2004. Reporters eventually found Charles, the man who'd stood by him for 3 decades. The world finally learned about their long-hidden devotion. Number 20. Disco star Sharon Redd took her secrets to the grave after a tragic illness. Sharon was a powerhouse vocalist who dominated the disco and R&B charts. Her hits ruled the clubs throughout the late 70s and early 80s. During her peak years, Sharon kept her private matters strictly under wraps. Journalists focused only on her talent, leaving her romantic life a total mystery. She knew the business was rife with judgment back then. A single leak could have instantly derailed her stardom. Her private life remained strictly behind closed doors. As the disco era faded in the late 80s, she began to step out of the spotlight. Her physical condition took a turn for the worse. She learned of her diagnosis in 1988, but kept the news under wraps. Back then, that specific illness was shrouded in intense fear and massive social shame. By 1992, Sharon Redd had succumbed to complications stemming from the virus. It was only after her passing that medical records and personal stories from her inner circle surfaced. The public finally realized she had spent years in a silent struggle, battling sickness while masking her true identity from the world. Number 19. Billy Preston. The musical maestro who only confessed his heart to the man of his dreams on his deathbed, a brilliant keyboardist and performer. He famously traded riffs with icons like the Rolling Stones and the Beatles. Widely praised as a legendary ivory tickler, he left a permanent mark on the evolution of soul and rock. Starting as a child prodigy, he shared stages with giants and toured the globe, earning immense respect in the industry. Yet, the fame masked a fractured personal life. Growing up in the church, his spiritual ties were incredibly deep. His religion was the source of his music, but also the root of his deepest internal conflicts. Within those traditional religious circles at the time, his identity was considered completely off-limits. To stay in the community's good graces and keep his musical career, he had to bury his authentic self. Throughout the 70s and 80s, he maintained a high-energy, joyful facade for his fans while at his professional peak. In reality, the weight of keeping his secret was an almost unbearable burden. By the 90s and 2000s, things grew dire as he faced both financial ruin and failing health. He faded into the background, rarely making any public appearances. Many assumed he was just aging out of the scene, but he was actually spiraling into depression from decades of hiding. By 2006, with his body failing, Billy finally told his manager the truth: he was gay and had loved him for half a lifetime. Sadly, that breakthrough came just as his clock was finally running out. 10 days after that confession, he was gone. Number 18. Willie Smith. The fashion icon who kept his diagnosis and identity hidden until the very end. He was a trailblazing designer. As the founder of Willie Wear, he fundamentally changed the game by popularizing what we now call streetwear. He revolutionized American fashion by bringing approachable, everyday styles to the high-end runways. He built an empire on simple, affordable, and stylish clothing that resonated with the masses. His influence exploded, making him a staple in major fashion events and media headlines. But as his fame reached its zenith, his personal life became more of a fortress. During the 80s, his rapid success demanded a grueling global travel schedule to keep the brand growing. It was during those chaotic years that he lived a hidden life and eventually contracted the virus. At that time, such a diagnosis carried a devastating level of social stigma and public dread. He feared a leak would absolutely wreck the reputation of the WillyWare label, worried that investors would flee and his career would tank. He chose to suffer in silence. He kept designing and hosting shows even as his physical strength began to evaporate. Those close to him noticed the exhaustion and weight loss. But the real cause remained a total mystery. After a trip to India in early 1987, he returned in a severely weakened state. Shortly thereafter, he passed away from a severe case of pneumonia linked to his condition. When the truth eventually came out, the public's reaction was actually much kinder than he had ever anticipated. His brand's legacy endured, backed by the genuine quality and style he had provided to his customers. Number 17. Irving Allen Lee. The gifted performer whose private world was only revealed after he lost his battle with the illness. He was a prominent figure in theater and television, highly praised for his professional demeanor and acting chops. His impressive body of work earned him widespread admiration from both his fans and his colleagues. Throughout the 1970s and 80s, Irving built a solid reputation as a mainstay on both the small screen and theater stages. He projected a flawless persona, steering clear of drama and never being spotted with a romantic partner in the limelight. Fans assumed he was just a private guy focused on his craft. But that stoic mask hid a paralyzing secret. He lived in terror of exposure, knowing his profession would crumble if his attraction to men ever hit the headlines. Such a revelation would have shattered his public standing, dried up his job offers, and permanently killed his career. Consequently, Irving chose a life of shadows to maintain his polished facade for the masses. By the turn of the 1990s, his physical strength began to fail as he battled a severe immune condition. However, the specifics of his medical struggle remained strictly off-limits to the public at that time. He faded from view, scaled back his work, and retreated into a much more isolated existence. Observers figured he was just slowing down with age or shifting his focus, never suspecting the grim battle he was fighting. In 1992, the curtain closed on Irving Allen Lee's life due to complications from that silent epidemic. His sudden passing left the industry reeling, and it wasn't until afterward that his representatives finally shared his truth with the world. Number 16. Howard Rollins, the cinematic titan who kept his identity under wraps until his final breath during a health crisis. Howard Rollins earned his stripes as a household name through his powerful performance as Virgil Tibbs in the classic Heat of the Night. A constant presence on American television, he was widely celebrated for his incredible depth and range as a performer. With several major award nods under his belt, he had built a formidable reputation within the Hollywood hierarchy. Back in the 1980s, Tinseltown was notoriously unforgiving toward anyone living an alternative lifestyle. A single whisper could end a leading man's run, a reality Howard was painfully aware of. He guarded his personal world with ironclad discipline, ensuring no romantic rumors or private ties ever reached the tabloids. Throwing himself into his work, he presented the image of a consummate professional, serious, driven, and entirely dedicated to the screen. Yet the higher he climbed, the heavier that secret became, until his health took a sharp turn for the worse in the early 90s. Initially, he brushed it off as mere burnout from his grueling schedule and the mental toll of his double life. He moved into the shadows, making fewer appearances as he tried to recover, but his condition only grew more dire. A 1993 hospital visit brought the crushing news that he was fighting a life-threatening viral infection. In 1996, Howard's battle ended. It was only after his departure that his family shared the full story of his life and struggle. Their candid interviews finally brought his hidden journey into the light. Number 15. Luther Vandross, the R&B icon who spent a lifetime hiding his true self, only for the world to learn the truth a decade later. Luther Vandross was the undisputed king of smooth, possessing a voice that felt like pure velvet to the ears. With a string of massive hits, he remains one of the most celebrated male vocalists in the history of soul music. He amassed a mountain of awards and a devoted following, primarily by crooning about the highs and lows of romance. That soulful, warm delivery of his had a way of touching millions of hearts across the globe. While female fans viewed him as the ultimate dream man, Luther could never fulfill those romantic fantasies because his heart was elsewhere. From the moment his career took off in the 80s, he maintained a strict policy of silence regarding his dating life. Though the media constantly pried into his affairs, he never gave them so much as a single word to work with. Part of his reticence stemmed from a desire to protect his mother, a devoutly religious woman who meant everything to him. He also feared losing the adoration of his massive female fan base, who saw him as their ideal partner. To them, he was the perfect gentleman they all hoped to find. In 2003, a severe stroke left Luther's health in shambles, forcing him to step away from the microphone for good. 2 years later, in 2005, he passed away, leaving behind a legendary discography and a world of grieving fans. But his story took an unexpected turn years after he was gone. It wasn't until 2017 that his dear friend, Patti LaBelle, publicly confirmed that Luther had been a gay man all along. Number 14. Franklin Seals. The character actor whose private life stayed hidden until his name appeared on a memorial for the epidemic's victims. Franklin Seals was a familiar face for many viewers, appearing regularly across various film and television projects. Known for his work ethic, he popped up in numerous hit shows, carving out a niche for himself. He was a reliable, talented pro who enjoyed a very steady and respected run in the business. During the 70s and 80s, Franklin carved out a solid career in television. He enjoyed constant work, steady roles, and rave reviews from peers. Outwardly, he lived a boring life, yet he carried a secret that could ruin him. Back then, a gay actor faced the total destruction of his career. Rumors and the resulting stigma meant losing everything. He hid his personal life, never discussing dating or appearing with partners. He played it extremely safe. Colleagues saw a quiet pro, never knowing he loved a man at home. By the late 80s, Franklin's health took a turn for the worse. His screen time dropped significantly until he eventually vanished. Most assumed his luck ran out, but he died of illness in 1990. The specific cause stayed under wraps back then. In 1991, an AIDS memorial list finally revealed his hidden struggle. 13. Larry Riley, the Knots Landing star who masked his identity and illness until death. As a Knots Landing star, Riley was a powerhouse on 1980s television. Simultaneously, he carried a heavy emotional burden. He felt forced to hide both his orientation and his failing health. During the 80s, an AIDS diagnosis meant immediate career death. He kept filming and making appearances, working through the pain until his 1992 death from AIDS. His passing shocked fans. Though rumors of his private life soon surfaced, everyone knew. Yet his widow fiercely denied he was anything but straight. 12. Keith Barrow, the soul star who hid his true self until later. A disco singer, Keith was the son of activist Willie Barrow. His 70s career exploded thanks to his soulful voice and stage charm. Away from the spotlight, he was cautious to protect his family's civil rights legacy. He feared a single scandal would crush his family's hard-earned reputation. He buried himself in his craft, keeping his private world locked away. By 1982, his health failed following an AIDS diagnosis. The era's intense stigma forced many patients into total isolation. Keith hid away until 1983, when friends finally shared his story. 5 years later, he became a fixture in Black queer history. 11. Charlie Barnett, the comic who hid his identity until the end, with the truth emerging only after medical files went public. Barnett was a street-performing legend with an infectious, natural wit. He ruled the 80s street scene, leaving crowds in stitches everywhere. He appeared totally open, yet he had plenty to hide. He masked his orientation, knowing prejudice would alienate his audience instantly. Charlie chose to live a life of careful discretion instead. By the 90s, mystery ailments were revealed as AIDS complications. He left the stage without a word and died in 1996. Posthumous records finally shed light on his private same-sex relationships. 10. Kevin Peter Hall, the cinematic giant who kept his identity secret. Towering over Tinseltown, Kevin Peter Hall gained fame as the original Predator and a staple of Hollywood's monster movie scene. Starting in the 1980s, even as his star ascended, he kept his private world under tight wraps. He kept his love life a total mystery, appearing to the world only as a dedicated, hard-working giant of a man. Nobody suspected that he was privately involved in relationships with other men. By 1991, Hall had succumbed to AIDS, though his kin initially claimed a contaminated blood transfusion was the cause. Later on, hospital files and whispers about his private life surfaced. exposing the reality of his orientation and the virus's true origin. Number 9. Meet Melvin Lindsay, the iconic DJ behind the Quiet Storm who masked his orientation until his final breath. As a radio powerhouse, Melvin Lindsay pioneered the Quiet Storm style, leaving an indelible footprint on the world of broadcasting. During the late 1970s and early 80s, his smooth voice captivated millions of listeners across the airwaves every single night. Back then, reputation was everything, and he knew that coming out could instantly end his high-flying career. Consequently, he never dared to step out of the shadows. Behind the mic, he maintained the perfect facade of a conventional heterosexual man. Only after he died from AIDS in 1992 did the truth about his personal life finally begin to surface. Number 8. Lonnie Pitchford, a blues virtuoso who kept his orientation buried until AIDS claimed his life and outed his secret. Lonnie Pitchford stood out as a gifted bluesman and street artist, renowned for mastering the unique one-string guitar. Throughout the 1980s, he traveled far and wide, busking and gigging in dive bars, earning deep respect within the blues community. While he was always quick with a smile and a story, he stayed dead silent regarding his romantic interests. Fans questioned his silence on love until the truth emerged in 1998. Shortly after his tragic passing, following his demise, he was listed among the many talented performers lost to the AIDS epidemic. That revelation allowed the media to piece together the truth about his orientation and his private battle with the virus. 7. Bobby DeBarge, the frontman for Switch, who kept his true identity under wraps until AIDS took his life. Bobby DeBarge headlined the group Switch and belonged to the legendary Motown dynasty that shared his last name. During the late 70s and early 80s, Bobby shone as the crown jewel of his famous Motown-affiliated family. Yet, as his stardom grew, he became increasingly protective of his private life. He dodged romantic questions and shunned the spotlight to preserve his family's pristine public image. Things took a grim turn in the early 90s as his health failed and his musical career began to slide. In 1995, Bobby DeBarge lost his battle with AIDS. Posthumously, details regarding his bisexual lifestyle and medical struggles finally hit the headlines. 6. Jermaine Stewart, the chart-topping pop sensation whose private life came to light post-AIDS. He was an electrifying performer with multiple Billboard hits. By the late 80s, Jermaine ruled the stage with bold style, smooth moves, and hits that dominated the airwaves. He was a constant fixture on music video channels, touring the globe and flashing a high-energy, confident grin for every camera lens he met. Still, he guarded his personal affairs with extreme caution. He avoided discussing romance entirely. By the early 90s, his career cooled off, and he started fading from the spotlight. Few realized his health was in a tailspin, as he kept his medical woes completely under wraps. In 1997, Jermaine succumbed to liver cancer stemming from various AIDS-related complications. Following his death, those closest to him finally shared the truth about his illness and orientation. 5. David Peaston, the soulful gospel singer whose death from AIDS finally brought his private world to light. David Peaston was a powerhouse R&B and gospel artist, his soul-stirring voice a staple of the sanctuary. Throughout the 80s and 90s, he was hailed as a pillar of virtue within his conservative religious circles. Yet, that pious reputation became a prison, forcing him to bury his true identity deep inside. He never breathed a word about his attraction to men. Fear of judgment from his devout family kept him silent. In 2012, when David finally passed, struggling with health crises, his inner circle finally shared the lifelong battle he fought just to shield his family name. Number 4. Alan Wiggins, the pro athlete who masked his identity until his final breath. Wiggins was a standout star for the San Diego Padres, famous for his blazing speed on the diamond. Throughout the 1980s, he was a massive name in the world of professional baseball, a high-energy player whose talent seemed to have no limits. Fans saw a fierce, hyper-masculine competitor whenever he stepped onto the field, but in private, his heart belonged to men, a truth he kept buried deep inside. Because pro sports were so unforgiving back then, he lived a completely undercover life. His secret remained safe until his health took a turn in the late 1980s. He walked away from the game without warning, leaving the public totally confused. The heartbreaking reality only surfaced after he passed in 1991. Number 3. Willie Ninja, the voguing legend who masked his reality for years. He turned underground dance into a global phenomenon. Though he was an icon in the queer ballroom scene, he kept his personal life out of the spotlight to protect his mainstream career goals. He was a dominant force in the underground culture throughout the 1980s and 90s. While his community knew the truth, the rest of the world was kept in the dark. Most people simply saw a performer with a bold, gender-fluid artistic style. It was only after his 2006 passing that his full story reached the masses. Number 2. Chana Banana, the founding president of Zimbabwe, whose hidden life led to a massive national scandal. As the country's first leader, he was a figure of immense power and mystery. He was the face of a new nation and the definition of a perfect statesman. Yet, since taking power in 1980, he carried a secret that weighed heavy on his soul. To maintain his image as a strongman, he couldn't let anyone know he was attracted to men. A shocking 1997 trial finally brought his private world crashing down, facing 11 counts of forbidden acts. His legal battle gripped the entire country. The public was left speechless as international news crews flocked to cover the fall of a giant. His reputation was destroyed, leaving behind the story of a man trapped by societal walls. Number 1. Whitney Houston, the legendary voice who kept her most personal love story a secret forever. Whitney was a vocal powerhouse who touched the world and left an unmatched musical legacy. Ever since her 1980s debut, her mother kept her under constant, high-pressure surveillance. She was forced to play the role of the perfect pop princess for the media. Under intense pressure, she wed Bobby Brown, hiding her lifelong bond with Robin Crawford. For years, only her tightest inner circle knew the depth of their relationship. The truth didn't emerge until after 2012, detailed in a 2019 memoir. These are the journeys of 27 Black icons who lived through the struggle of keeping their true selves hidden from the world. If these stories touched you, please share your perspective in the comments section. Subscribe now to explore more untold stories and the hidden realities of the human beings behind the world's biggest stars.